Internet, Eric here. When I'm not doing Two Bearded Losers, I've slowly been going through the Kickboxer franchise and discussing it. And yes, there are 7 films. It's definitely a franchise, even though only 2 were in theaters. Anyways, if you saw my last video, I discussed Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor, and talked about how confused and you could tell how very disappointed I was with a lot of that stuff. Anyways, moving on, we're talking about Redemption, Kickboxer 5. Look at that wonderful, wonderful cover. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I discuss plot spoilers, specific scenes, what have you. The basic plot of this is we are following Matt, played by Mark Dacascos. If you recognize him, I think he's mostly well known. He's a very good martial artist, but he's mostly well known as one of the hosts of Iron Chef. He is the guy that is not Scott Wolf in Double Dragon. He played a leopard man in The Island of Dr. Moreau, and I think he was in one of the John Wick films. Anyways, he plays Matt, and Matt is a friend of David Sloan. Let me get to David Sloan first. David Sloan is not in this movie. Sasha Mitchell did not return. Don't know why. It doesn't matter. This came out, I think, the year after Kickboxer 4, 1995. Anyways, the basic plot is I guess you would say the main baddie, the main villain, is a former kickboxing champion. He was banned from kickboxing in America because he killed a guy in the ring. You know, that usual stuff. So now he's living in South Africa, and he is now creating his own kickboxing federation so he can have, control and money and all that stuff because he can't do it in the United States. And he's sending out feelers and wanting all the champions to come join him. He makes an offer to David, and David turns him down. Basically tells him to go fuck himself. You don't see this on camera. So, bad guy sends his thugs to talk to David. And in shadow, they beat David to death. Meaning you don't see who is what. You just see a bunch of shadows, like outlines, like white background. And you see one dude doing kicks and punching a heavy bag. And then you see a bunch of other shadows beat the shit out of that guy and kill him. Now we're following Matt, which Mark Dacascos plays, who is a friend of David. And he has helped training another buddy. What's his buddy's name? Did it say it? Johnny. Of course, it's Johnny, Mr. Generic name. And Johnny wins the title, I think, or he wins a really big, important fight. And then he is given the offer by Mr. South Africa. And after listening to Matt, turns him down. He is brutally killed in front of Matt, and then Matt tries to go to South Africa to get revenge. That's it. Okay. First off, it's funny how this is barely a kickboxer movie at all, because there's almost zero kickboxing in it. You have 2 references to the Sloan family. You have David killed in shadow in the very beginning, and you have one very brief scene where Matt finds out about his death in an obituary. That's basically fucking it. The rest of it, you have one kickboxing match. One. And that is the one I mentioned when best friend Johnny has his fight in the very beginning. That's it. The rest of it is just martial arts fights, which is fine, but there's no fucking kickboxing in a kickboxing movie. I really don't think this is a Kickboxer sequel. I think they tried to ride the coattails, I guess. I don't know why. Anyways, so no David Sloan. It doesn't matter because Sasha was kind of hit and miss the last few movies. Mark Dacascos, kind of a dork. He's not very intimidating until the very end, like during the training montage. He looks like a dork. He acts like a dork. He speaks like a dork. So you don't hate him, but you just I don't give a shit about this guy. And mainly it's the lines he's given. He just talks like an idiot. Like even when it's towards the end, he's in South Africa, and they're about ready to reveal that, hey, I know who you guys are. And he literally calls one of the bad guys a butt face. This is a rated R movie. He calls the bad guy a butt face instead of a cocksucker or an asshole or something like that. Butt face. So you don't really give a shit about him. Other characters, Johnny. Johnny sucks. He awful delivery, bad acting, not very good in the ring. Gets the shit kicked out of him. You don't care that he dies. The other characters, you have one character. Well, let's talk about the main villain. Not very intimidating. You know, they try to make him intimidating because I guess he's a big game hunter. They show him shoot a fucking giraffe. Who cares? He seems too old to be this scary. Now, he's not like Zian. Like Zian, you know, he was older. He looked older at least. But at least he had like this aura about him. Like you didn't want to fuck with him, with Zian. Like, with the physicality stuff. This old dude, you didn't buy any of it. You know, he's not fucking David Carradine. You know, he's intimidating with a gun, but he's not intimidating as a fighter. So, and his performance isn't awful, but it's just, He's got one sidekick that looks like Neil McDonough. He's not Neil McDonough. He's annoying. He does that little weasel laugh. If you've ever seen Billy Madison, you know Eric. You know he does that little. He does that a lot. He fucking sucks. And for some reason, you find out he's a good fighter. He has a fight at the end of the movie, gets his ass kicked. It's over. The only other character that's worth even fucking talking about is eventually there's a put out on Matt, and it's this one mean-looking motherfucker who just got out of prison. And instead of killing Matt, he just wants to go home. And then they join forces to stop the bad guy. He's just there to look scary. He looks kind of like Luther Reigns, WWE superstar. If you ever knew who he was, look him up. Just like a mean, grimacing-looking asshole. And there's no chemistry with him and Mark. Like, no one works well together in this movie. The action, I'll give it credit. The fight with Johnny in the beginning was awful. With Johnny getting his ass kicked was decent, but anytime Mark Dacascos is showing off his skill, it is amazing. This guy is a very, very talented martial artist, and I think because of movies like this, Double Dragon, which I haven't seen, but I've seen bits and pieces, it looks awful, and the fact that he's Mr. Iron Chef, he probably doesn't even get thought of when it comes to martial arts. This guy's amazing. The way he does flips, the way he does kicks, the physical shape he's in, fantastic. And his fights are pretty damn good. The choreography, really, really good. So I have to give props for that. The story is dumb. You don't care about any of the characters. There's not much to this movie at all. There's some good stunts. Like there is a time when Weasel guy, not Neil McDonough, he and his buddies attack Mark in a store, and he gets away. Great action scene, but great chase scene, and eventually he and, I'm just gonna call him Luther Reigns, are falsely arrested because they intimidate the store owner into agreeing that the guy started the trouble and he robbed them, type of thing. So they go to jail, and they meet this one dude from South Africa who, I guess his only thing is he loves Irish whiskey. And man, this guy is literally, every time he says something, gotta drink the Irish whiskey. And he doesn't even get drunk. You know what I mean? So they meet that guy in prison, and there is one cool stunt. One of Mr. South Africa, he gets one of the people in the prison to get ready to kill them with a Molotov cocktail. He lights it, and right before he throws it in the jail cell, the other guy spits the Irish whiskey on him, and he's set ablaze. It's a really cool fire stunt. Really well done. But there's some things that are just so fucking stupid. Like, Luther Reigns is going to attack not Neil McDonough. Like, they're already this really great fight scene and chase scene. Matt's running away from the bad guys, and he ends up in this warehouse. Luther Reigns shows up just for the hell of it, and he's got like a fucking machete. And then he looks and he sees Neil McDonough. For some reason, it's like Neil McDonough fucking teleported up to the next the second and third story rafters. Luther looks at him, yells his name, tosses the machete. So this guy's a weasel, so I think he's going to die. It goes right through the window next to him, so that meant nothing. There's no reason for that to happen. They get to eventually they're at a party. I told you that was the butt face scene. And some good fights there. And eventually, for some reason, one of the waitresses at the party starts beating up the bad guys. You don't find out why. She never joins the team. You never see her later. That's it. Okay. Like I said, there's not much to this movie. Let's get to the final confrontation with Matt and the bad guy. Well, first off, we've seen the bad guy kill a kickboxer. You know, one of the guys that was going to join the Federation, but he wasn't going to give up his title and his rights and all that shit. So he had to fight to the death against this dude. And like he's doing like Tiger Claw and whatever, you know, he's acting like he's this, you know, like he's fucking Bruce Lee. He kills the dude, takes the belt. You don't buy it. So they're trying to make him seem how like he's super intimidating, he's super skilled. Johnny pretty much wipes the floor with this guy. And he's going to stab, or not Johnny, Matt. Johnny, remember, he's dead. He's going to kill Matt by like stabbing him with a knife or a blade. And because of this really good training montage, because it's showing off Mark Dacascos' skills, he does that whole thing where you put an arrow against like a piece of wood and you flex your neck muscles, you know, so it doesn't pierce you, and you keep going forward till you snap the arrow. Well, that he used his neck muscles. He was not able to, you know, get punctured. And then apparently he knows in that fucking Kill Bill heart punch technique he just hits the bad guy in the chest. Bad guy falls down dead. Or we think he's dead. It would have been cool if he just died like that, but no. They go back in the room and they're recouping, you know, him, Luther Reigns, and then apparently Luther Reigns has a sister. Whatever. She's not important. And bad guy shows up again, and you think he's going to attack the group, but he just shows up to grab one of the he grabs the title belt of Johnny. She's like, I'm going to keep this, or you can't take this from me, or blah, blah, blah. And then he just fucking dies. So Matt takes the title belt, and they walk off. That's it. That's the movie. Okay. I was very disappointed with part 4. But at least part 4 kept me interested in where it was going to go. Problem with this one, it's just fucking boring. I don't give a shit about any of the characters. I don't really care about the lead because he's such a fucking dork. As great of a martial arts artist as Mark Dacascos is, I don't like his character at all, so I don't give a shit. The villain, he's maybe a step up above part 4's Tong Po, because part 4's Tong Po was so laughable to look at, and he was such a fucking puss that he ran away. At least this guy died and fought to the death. I'll give him that. But other than the action and the fight scenes, it's boring. You don't care about the characters. Some things are so just fucking stupid, like that machete scene I talked about. The dialogue is lame. I don't give a shit about the soundtrack isn't memorable. There's nothing really memorable about this movie. I got this for like $5 on eBay. I don't know if it was worth it. You can just YouTube Mark's. I'm sure you can YouTube the scenes where Mark's doing his martial arts. That's the only reason to watch any bit of this movie, unless you really, really like bad films. So far, and this is saying a lot because I love part 1. 2 was a decent follow-up. 3 wasn't bad at all. 4 made me mad, but you know what? At least 4 didn't bore me. So far, this is the rough. And what's funny is, like I said, I mentioned it seemed like they were riding the coattails of the sequels. It's called Redemption Kickboxer 5 here and here. Watching the movie, it's literally just called The Redemption. If they didn't put this here or here, and you hadn't known that there was a sequel to Kickboxer at all, like 2, 3, or 4, this could have been a completely unrelated bad movie. So I don't know why they even threw in the David Sloan mention or any of that shit. Anyways, who cares? I wouldn't waste your time. Honestly, this took me probably about a week to finish because I just lost so much interest. Not the worst film I've ever seen, but it's just fucking boring. So that's it. Next up is the remakes with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Dave Bautista's in one. And then the second one, Mike Tyson's in it. Go fucking figure. Anyways, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Click the bell. Comment below. Tell me if you've seen this. Do you want to see this? Do you feel my pain? Or do you want to know why I'm doing this to myself? Frenzy, Mike, I know you keep asking me this, but some people like these reviews. And I don't know if it's worth it right now. But anyways, thank you for everyone. Thank you to the new subs, all the interaction. Thank you to everyone that has been interacting with us on Two Bearded Losers. It's been great. This Saturday, we're doing Secret Santa. an Adam Marcus film. We're excited to talk about that for our Christmas special. Thank you to everyone that showed up last Saturday's Eyes Wide Shut video. Lots of fun. All the usual crap. It's late. I'm tired. Cheers.